I'm Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the madmen of masculinity, baby.
That's right, we're just real men having real conversations for you. I think I screwed that up. We're going to have to do that again, but that's all right. Next time we're learning.
Sure. Yeah, all
never
that.
happened.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? Well, this is how we do, man. We do this thing, man. You know, we just working what we got. You know what I'm saying? KLDC 1220 AM in the Mile High City and on all the interwebs everywhere you can get some digital content. We are there. You know what I'm saying? We got super producer Nikki Nicole on the other half of the studio here on the other side of the glass on the wheels of steel. You know what I'm saying?
That's what she say from all this crazy.
I'm telling you, man, we be food fighting in here and everything. Nah, don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody.
Well, I think today's a good day for her behind the glass, so she don't throw stuff at us.
Yeah, for real, because it's going to get real up in this joint, man. We're going to get real today, man. I want all the smoke. I want it all. I'm telling you, especially from the ladies. Especially from the ladies, man. Especially from the ladies. They ain't going to not go. They ain't going to be happy with me today, man. I'm telling you, they are not going to be happy with me today, man. I'm coming after them.
All right.
Hey, man, what are we talking about?
Well, you brought up the subject of chivalry.
Ooh.
And is it dead or not? And if so, who killed it?
Ooh.
And I think we can go all the way back to the Middle Ages where chivalry became a thing and all about the knight in shining armor and the hanky drops and all these different things where the ladies drop the hanky. Oh, Mr. So-and-so, and then you pick it up. And, oh, ma'am, you dropped this and all this stuff.
Yeah.
However, nowadays, chivalry is either a unknown concept, it's a lacking concept, it's just maybe one of those things that's kind of gone the way of the dodo, or maybe it's just morphed. I'm not sure. But since this is your topic and you got smoke and fire to bring, let me throw a little softball pitch over.
Well, man, first of all, as I look at this thing, man, I pulled up, I just Googled chivalry, and part of the definition that comes up says the combination of qualities expected of an ideal knight, especially courage, honor, courtesy, justice, and their readiness to help the weak. That's what Google says. I don't know if those guys are right, but when Google is it's a verb, so you look it up. So basically, if we look at it, we're talking old school, we're talking medieval kind of traditions, and it's about the whole idea. First of all, I think chivalry is masculine. I don't believe in this my thought. By the way, everything today, bring the heat to me. Don't blame JBK. Don't blame super producer Nikki Nicole. Don't blame the radio station. Don't blame God. Don't blame nobody. Blame me. Because this is just my opinion, right? I don't tell nobody else what to think. So these are just my opinions. First of all, if you're watching us live and you comment on this thing, we can see your opinions up here, man. And JBK will make you famous when he hits that button. But yeah, I believe it's a masculine thing because I believe that chivalry makes space. Right, I don't believe it's a noble man or noble woman. No, I believe it's a masculine kind of thing. And so, I think if you're in a masculine role, and especially, and obviously we're going to be talking about relationships. If you're in a masculine space, or if you occupy that side of the tennis court, if you will, then I think it involves making space and providing space and opening doors and opportunities and all those kinds of things. So I think it's masculine. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know what you think.
No, I think it is. I think that's one of the reasons we see all these things. I even looked it up too, and there's a lot of the same topic on YouTube where people are like, chivalry is dead, who killed it, all those things.
Yeah.
And it's because, like you said, chivalry is very much masculine, and for it to be applicable and to work, it needs a feminine counterpart. It's the positive and negative sides of the battery.
Right.
The two different energy sources. The opposites attracting is the masculine and feminine polarity. And so if you're a woman coming from a masculine point of view, and then a masculine man comes to you trying to be chivalrous, it's just repelling. It's those two positive sides of the battery or whatever, the magnet, pushing and repelling each other. And so, yeah, you're right. The masculine may create a space for chivalry. So it takes a feminine to accept and receive that. And if you're not being a feminine woman, you're in your masculine, you're not going to receive it. And I've seen it. I've seen ladies who run their own businesses and they're the boss babe and everything. And then a man being chivalrous says, hey, can I help you with your bag? No, I got this. I don't need your help. All right, well, there you go. That's what happened to chivalry. I was attempting to be chivalrous and just be of assistance. And you said no.
And, just like, I went to a Rockies game the other day. Colorado Rockies, they lost bad.
I rub it in.
Yeah, they lost bad. Diamondbacks, they whooped up on them. But anyhow, Went to the baseball game, and I'm watching this, and every single I'm going to say every single play in baseball starts with a pitch. Starts with a pitch, and then there's a hit, or there's a strike, or there's whatever. But either way, there's a pitcher, and then there's a hitter, a batter, right? And so, or even the catcher, if you want to look at it that way. But so there's the initiator, and then there's the receiver. To your point, and so I think chivalry is a matter of the initiation of the beginning of whatever it is that we have in this thing. Hey Lisa, how you doing, girl? But I just almost knocked over something. But anyhow, hey, make Lisa famous. There she is. Look at that picture. Hey, if you're listening to us on the air, you can watch us live on YouTube and on Facebook. Mad Men of Masculinity. Just search us out, or madmenradio.com. We'll find you there and make a comment like Lisa did. We'll make you famous. Hi, guys. Love this. Yeah, so chivalry, again, my opinion is it's masculine. It's the initiator. It's the space creator. It's the lead, if you will. And I think, regardless of gender, even in same-sex relationships, there's a masculine and there's a feminine. Sometimes even more clearly in same-sex relationships, there's a masculine and feminine. So, for, those of us that espouse to non-same-sex relationships, which some might call gender normative, or whatever terminology you want to use, that's all into the weeds. But either way, so in this case, if you're the man and you're representing the masculine space in the relationship, then I think, it is incumbent upon us who fit into that, into that description or whatever, to provide that space and to lead into chivalry and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, and it's fine to lead, and it's fine to have that, to create that space. If there's nobody receiving, though, it's just like you can try to give all you want to. If nobody's receiving that, then you're just blowing in the wind kind of thing. So it's part of that polarity thing, and it even goes back to when we did that specific video to put your light on for a Parker social group. It's the same sort of thing. When you drop your hanky, when you turn your light on, when you open that space to give that man the space to come in and be chivalrous and be a gentleman and do those things, it's a two-way street. So I see a lot of this, he's got to do all these things, though there's no space, or it doesn't seem to be any space to receive those things. And there's just a lot of judgment and a lot of this kind of entitlement of, well, you got to be this. Well, are you giving me space to do that? Are you demanding that? Or is this a give and take sort of thing? Or are you just wanting to take? Or are you just wanting to receive without opening the door for me to be an actual chivalrous man, a gentleman, and do these things from a place of masculinity holding space? Or is it just you better open the door for me and you better do this? Well, nowadays, a lot of ladies, you attempt to be chivalrous. And I can get the door myself. I don't need you. I don't need no man. I mean, it doesn't leave a lot of space.
So how confusing or how weird would it be, if you went to a baseball game and there was no catcher? I mean, how weird would that be? How weird would it be if there was no pitcher? Everybody just be standing around, what do we do? That'd be a really boring baseball game, right? I mean, the score would be really low, and, and ironically, if there was no catcher, the score would be really high on one team's perspective, right? And so, when there's three strikes and the pitcher throws the ball and the catcher drops it, I know I'm way off into the analogy, but it's just not a good look. So there has to be that mutual exchange, and I think today in our culture, because of our upside down cultures in a lot of ways, I think we really don't know, and I think to some degree we know, but we just don't want to say, or we know what we like or what we want, but because of what culture says, we get pushed in the direction of we either are supposed to or are not supposed to, regardless of what we might feel is natural to us in the course of the relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll get into, especially as we get closer to the second segment, we'll really dig into, because a lot of this started, we talked about chivalry being a big thing in the Middle Ages, and then coming into the 21st century, the 20th century, with the advent of men going off in the industrial age and leaving the house, and then nice guy syndrome, and then single mothers and women having to join the workforce. These are all different factors that led to chivalry kind of dying, or at least being changed to such a point that it's almost unrecognizable. Well, we'll dig into more of that after that, but it's not just a man versus woman thing. A lot of it, like he was saying, is kind of a societal thing where there's a lot of ladies who would like to have a chivalrous man, but then if they were allowed that man to open the door for them or do things for them, then they're like, girl, what are you doing? You don't need him. You don't need that man to hold the door for you. You're an alpha woman, a boss babe. You don't need all that stuff. Well, even if she wanted that man to be chivalrous, society's telling her no. You can't do that. You're not allowed to receive chivalry from a man because that makes, I guess, you look weak. I'm not sure.
And obviously, all of this is we're two guys, right? Both of us have been men our whole lives. Everybody can't say that. And so this is our perspective, which is why we love the comments and feedbacks. And if you're watching, if you agree or disagree, let us know. If you're not watching live, agree or disagree, let us know. We want to hear. But so to some degree, this is one side of the conversation. Maybe at some point in the future, we'll come back and we'll have a feminine perspective, and we can flesh that out even more. But obviously, first of all, the show is Mad Men of radio, so we're two guys, having real talk for you, right? And so these are at least what guys might, largely think or experience and all those kinds of things. And so, yeah, I mean, I do think, from a guy perspective, culturally speaking, a lot of things are taboo. And like I said, I think we've gotten to the point where culture, and I'm gonna, especially second segment here in a minute, I'm gonna jump straight in the deep end, and I don't care if they slap me or not, man. I'm going for it. I'm gonna say my answer, and it's gonna be like, but I think culturally speaking, in the whole setup to all this, culturally speaking, we do get off in the, man, I want this, but somehow I'm not supposed to have this, or, is taboo, even though it's what all these other kind of things. So I think we do get caught up in what people think and what I'm supposed to and what I'm not supposed to, even though it's something that we might want or we might desire to have.
Yeah. And for you that are watching us live on either on my page or maybe on Kirk's page, make sure you go to the Mad Men radio page, and if you comment, then we can see it live. And if you're listening to us on the radio and you missed the first part, or you got to jump and you missed the last part, get on YouTube and watch this video, and then get in the stream and start watching all the past ones. I guarantee you're going to have a good time and lots of laughs, and really learn a lot from what we're talking about here today.
No doubt. And so, yeah, I mean, like I said, we right up front here in this first segment, right up front, we recognize that, yes, this is two guys having a conversation about something that involves men and women. So, there may be something that you completely disagree with based on your experience or your perspective, and that's okay. I mean, just like it should be okay for us to have our opinion, it's okay for you to have your opinion, right? And so that's kind of the setup to this whole thing. But it's a great question, man. Is chivalry dead? And if it is, who killed it? Because somebody needs the charges. Somebody needs to get arrested. So if it is dead, then I want justice. I want justice. I want reparations.
Justice for all.
I want chivalry reparations. I want something to be done about this thing. So let's talk about that when we come back. What do you think?
I think it's a good idea to take a break. Mad Men of Masculinity on KLDC, 1220 AM in the Mile High City. We'll be right back.
Boom. That was good stuff, man.
That's good stuff. I'm all right. For all you on the behind the scenes, I'm attempting to get more. Yeah.
You're doing it right now.
You're doing it right now. But I want to play this clip and see if it works. We're attempting to get savvy. So if you're on the behind the scenes, bear with us for 30 seconds.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
Can you hear the intro? Lisa, sounds like you might be listening. We're wondering if you can hear that video.
Did you hear that video, Lisa? Trying to make that our intro, but because they're going through the soundboard, it didn't sound through our headphones.
Boom.
She says she hears this.
Well, she says she hears us, but was that the intro? Did she hear the video?
I don't hear it. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Right. You ready?
This is budget. We're doing it budget.
And we're back. Mad Men Radio. We are the Mad Men of Masculinity. Man, I'm telling you, man. It's about to get real up here. We testing some stuff out, on the live. We doing some stuff behind the scenes up in here, man. We got, Lisa, she's kind of riding shotgun with us, man. She's commenting on the video as we watch this live, helping us out. Boom, we glad she heard that. But today we're talking about, is chivalry dead? And if it is, we want justice. We want to know who did it. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. That's what we want, man. We want the truth. Did you order the code red on Chivalry?
Damn right I did.
Did you order the code red on Chivalry? We want to know who did it. Who ordered the code red?
Yeah, was it men or was it women?
I don't, man. Hey, here we go, man. Here's what I think. First of all, trigger alert, absolutely trigger alert.
You may have a trigger pulled here in a moment.
Absolutely. But first of all, short answer is, in my opinion, chivalry is not dead because I believe it exists in some places. First of all, I know I am a very chivalrous kind of man, especially in that relationship space. I teach my son that. I kind of lead him in that. And so I believe if it's alive anywhere, it's alive everywhere. That doesn't mean it's prolific everywhere. But at the same time, I believe it exists. I don't believe it's dead, but it might be on life support. There might have been a code red ordered on it, but it may not be necessarily dead, right? So that being said, for those of you who don't experience chivalry, for those of you who think in a way that chivalry might be dead, here's who I think did it. Here's who I think is the culprit. I blame Beyonce. That's right, I said it. I said your queen bee said it. Queen Bee, I blame her for the code red on Chivalry. You can't handle the truth. I'm Colonel Jessup right now. I want the truth. Yeah, I'm telling you. So, and let me elaborate. Not just her, but what some of her career has represented. Since Destiny Child, I think there's been a wave of, I'm gonna call them femme anthems. The femme anthems of the independence of women and the we don't need and the we got this and and I think from the independent women and all my women independent and all that and then throughout even her solo career you throw in the to the left you irreplaceable really, but when your man stepped out you stayed with him, you know what I'm saying, and it's like all my single ladies and all that, and when she was singing all my single ladies she was married. And all the other femme anthems, Ariana Grande, thank you next. And all, when you're 29 years old, which is when she made that song, you can say thank you next. But most of the women that I talk to offline are not 29 years old and they don't get to say thank you next. They don't get to be Beyonce and say, you're irreplaceable. I got a man already here waiting. Yeah, guess what? Most women don't, right? And so, but I think this wave of what I'm calling femme anthems kind of made it such that there's been almost a message, even if it's subversive, a message of we don't need men. Like we got this. And there's a fine line between independence and interdependence. Do I want somebody that's dependent? No. Do I want somebody that's independent? No. I want somebody that's interdependent, that's whole, but needs me for something. If you don't need me in your life, if I can't serve a purpose, I ain't there. Right? And so when it comes down to it, I think that wave of femme anthems is largely who ordered the code red on Chivalry. The whole message of we don't need men.
Well, and I think that may just be a result to the push for, the feminist narrative, which like most things that we as human beings do, they start off in a good direction, and then they go off the cliff and down and off in the deep end and just they go a little nutty. And so when the feminist movement really started in the late 60s, it made a lot of sense coming out of the 50s, and a lot of ladies were tired of being housewives and being stuck at home, and they wanted to contribute and have jobs and things like that. And of course, this was also around the same time that men had been leaving the house, and you see all those old movies of guys in the 50s, like they sat out in the waiting room, they weren't even in the delivery room when the kid was born, and they're like, look what we did, I had a kid. So there was kind of that toxic masculinity thing that now there was the answer with the feminist movement, and then now after decades it has turned into a toxic feminist movement because now it's all about I don't need men. And then we, like the ladies we talk to quite a bit, are like, well, where are all the good men? Well, you left them behind back in your 20s and 30s, and now they're butthurt, burnt, and tired of there being no space for chivalry. There being no space to be a masculine man. There's no space for them to come in and be of support and service to you because you're not allowing that in, because all the feminist narrative says you don't need a man and men are just toxic and da-da-da-da. Well, men are very logical and pragmatic, so if you don't want us, bye Felicia. We're out the door.
and I think it's a crucial concept of if you tell a man you don't need him, and I'm talking lowercase n, not capital N, right? I'm talking about need, not need like water. I'm talking about need like air conditioning, right? I mean, where you can survive without it, but with it, it makes your life a whole lot better, right? I mean, and so that's the kind of need I'm talking about. And if you preach that we don't need you, and if you start to balk at that and give the side eye when somebody opens a door, when somebody does something or whatever, then guess what? Most men, especially a good man, will say, okay, I'm not going to force my way into some place I don't want. You think about that Uncle Sam poster. What does Uncle Sam say? I want you, right? So, I mean, it's pretty clear that when you make space, when you make a space for lowercase n need for a man will show up. Most men are not the patriarchy. Most men by far are not, misogynistic, and so most of us, way more than 51 out of 100, are good men that want to honor, we want to serve, we want to be the wholesome thing that a lot of y'all are saying that you want, but at the same time you're not receiving. And again, I think it goes back to culture, modern feminism telling women it's bad for you to have a need, any kind of need for a man, including if it's a lowercase need. But at the same time, quietly, when we have these one-on-one conversations, it's like, wait a minute, I'm tired of doing everything. Well, there's a reason why culturally women across the board are feeling like you're doing everything. I mean, and I think that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, I mean, I even watched a video in preparation for this where a lady was talking about how she followed the feminist narrative and was making fun of the lady that she went to school with, high school with, and who got out of school and decided to be a housewife and get married and have kids. And she went off and got her degree, and then she, in her late 20s, she graduated, so she had 6 figures of educational debt, no man, and her job prospects weren't, you get a degree and you're like, well, I'm going to get a job, make a bunch of money. Maybe not so much, because nowadays a degree isn't worth the paper it's written on half the time. So she came out, and then she realized that her friend, who she used to make fun of because that was a feminist narrative of don't be a housewife, don't caretake to your man, and don't do all these things, go out and start your career and do these things. Well, she was alone by herself with 6 figures of debt, while her friend had 3 kids and a loving husband and was as happy as could be living her life. And that was what she wanted. Now, if it's your choice to go do those things and follow that narrative, that's fine. Just know that every choice we make has repercussions. And I think that's the biggest thing that has killed chivalry, and a lot of times has caused the most damage with the feminist narrative, is that you can make all these choices, but there's this entitled idea that there are no repercussions for those choices. So you can just decide not to. You leave the guy you were engaged to in college, and then in your late 30s go, well, I can find a man better than that. Well, probably not. There's sexual marketplace value. There's all these different things. And if you have been living that boss babe alpha woman lifestyle, you're not making space for a man to come in. You're not making space for a man to be chivalrous or gentleman or to fill that role as a whole man coming in to feed your need of the masculine, of that healthy masculine that makes a whole relationship.
Yeah, throw Lisa's comment up on the screen if you would. She says, women have proved that they're capable of doing the equivalent of what a man can do. I'm coming back to that. I.e. science, military, fixing things, and providing. However, we are not designed to do those things. Ooh, she says it's theology of the body, it's science of the body. Women are designed differently.
Yes.
I think there's been a blurred line, and I think culturally, we've had this conversation before. I think culturally, there's a big difference between equality and sameness. And I think there's been the big push for equality, which I'm all about. But in terms of sameness, no, we're not the same. And so when we recognize we're not the same, and when we accept the fact that we're not the same, and I have a lowercase need from you, and it's okay for you to have a lowercase need from me, and we can feed into those things. I can make space, you can occupy the space. If I make a space, I want it to be occupied. And so therein lies, that's the Nutella and the animal cracker. They go together. Chocolate and peanut butter, they go together. They don't have to compete. But the equality of it all and the sameness has been blurred, and there's been the competition.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about equality or equity, now when you talk about equity is about what are your unique needs? Mm-hmm. What do you need? Are you shorter? Do you need, there's always that picture that they use for that, where there's, equality. Each person gets one box to stand up so they can look over the fence, but then you got different height people. So then you got the tall guy who doesn't need the box, but now he's standing up even taller, so they're basically in the same position. When you get equity, then the tall guy doesn't use a box. The medium-sized guy gets 1 box, and then the shorter person gets 2 boxes, so they all can see over the thing. And to Lisa's point, yeah, there's a lot of things that women can do, although because of the differences in physicality, the military thing and stuff like that has already been proven that there's things they can do, but physically are not able to do. And they've tried to change the standards and things like that. But what tends to come up of it is when women get really honest with themselves, they don't want to do those things. You know, the science and engineering and mathematics, all these STEM fields are naturally filled by men because those are the things that interest men. And in countries like Norway and some of these Norwegian countries, they've gone to the furthest extent that they can go with equality and equity and all that stuff between masculine and feminine. And when they give them the choice, they naturally fall into these jobs and roles that are mostly, the men go mostly masculine, the women go mostly feminine. That's just them following their nature.
I mean, you know, women are getting more degrees than men these days. However, a lot of those degrees are in the soft sciences, not necessarily the hard sciences. And so it's not a matter of that kind of stuff. I mean, it's not, again, there's a huge difference between equality, equality, sameness, all those kinds of things. And so when we recognize that there is a give and a take, a polarity in the masculine and feminine, and we can accept that, and we can flow in that, because there's some things that the feminine provides the masculine, which is almost I'm going to say a reverse chivalry or a different kind of chivalry, not quite, like I said, creating space, but occupying space and making it beautiful. It's the difference between a house and a home. And so so I think it's one of those things that that we can recognize, but understand at the same time that these have a lot of things, a lot to do with why we get caught up in these things culturally. And so anyhow, hey, speaking of caught up, let's catch up with a break.
Time to catch up with a break. KLDC, 12:20 a.m. Mad Men and Masculinity. We'll be right back.
Boom. Lisa, good stuff. You go, girl, man. See, you part of the show, Lisa. Look at that. You are around the world. You know what? And guess what? This is going to be live. This is going to be like forever on podcast and YouTube. You are now like you're eternal. Like you are infinite right now because this is going to outlive you. And I mean, Lisa is part of the show. She's active. She's in this thing. You go, girl, with your bad self. But yeah, so this is all good stuff. So for all the behind the scenes folks, we do like 4. So here at the beginning of the week, we record 4 13-minute segments. And then our super producer, Nikki Nicole, throughout the rest of the week, she takes that, edits it all together with the breaks and all the stuff in there. You know, turn my microphone down, turn JPK's up, and then on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. and then Wednesdays at 6 p.m. It airs or broadcasts over the air as a produced show, thanks to our super producer Nikki Nicole. So all of y'all that are watching this right now, this is like our full-on. We just turn this bad boy on and just record for like an hour.
Yeah, we wanted to do this because one, Mr. Kirk had a thing to do yesterday, so we couldn't record on a normal Monday. And since we normally do our Facebook Live on Tuesday, we decided, well, why don't we just do this here and throw it out there? Maybe you guys will like this even better than just our 30-minute one because we got more time to get in depth. Speaking of time.
And we are back. We are the Mad Men of Masculinity, folks. MadmenRadio.com. KLDC, 1220 AM in the Mile High City. We even on like a 12th floor. If you can look out this window, you see right now we're looking over Cherry Creek Reservoir. And we are way up here too, dude. I don't like looking out the window.
You don't like heights?
Nah, man. I don't mind heights. I just don't mind falling. I don't like falling.
Well, it's actually the falling you don't like.
It's the falling. It's the hitting the ground.
That's the sudden stop.
That's the part that'll ruin your day, hitting the ground.
No, the falling is fun. It's the sudden stop at the bottom.
It's the very sudden stop at the bottom. The terminal stop. Yeah. You get terminal velocity, then you get terminal stoppage. But man, we are talking about chivalry. We want to know who ordered the code red on chivalry, and I mean, who did it? Was it Colonel Jessup? We want to know who did it, man. But Lieutenant Caffey is trying to find out who ordered the code red. He wants the truth, and we can't handle the truth, according to Colonel Jessup. So yeah, so I came clean with it, man. I think it's Beyonce.
You think, well, I think that's your personal opinion. I don't know that. I think it started before Beyonce.
It may have. I mean, I think her and Destiny Child and Lizzo and all of them that came after Ariana, I think they started the femme anthem movement.
But look how it's gone downhill, because then you get to what's her name with WAP, like.
Well, that's what I'm saying. All that kind of, those are in the femme anthem category that I'm talking about, where it's like, and then now like, and see, here's where I got a beef with Beyonce. So like this last one she just put out, like a week or two ago, she's getting more and more like, I got a problem with that. She's getting more and more just weird, like off the left field with some of the symbology and some of her imagery and then some of the lyrics. I mean, she's, it's kind of weird that nowadays rap is less tame than a lot of these women singing. Like female R&B and pop is way more graphic and way more raunchy and all that kind of stuff than like a lot of the rap songs that come out. And it's kind of weird how that shifted. So I say it's the femme anthemists.
Well, and I think that's part of the the movement and how it's kind of gone downhill and hit that slippery slope, because there's no accountability for the ladies. And what we've noticed is, as they've gone down this path of, well, let's make everything okay for the ladies, and so when you have ladies tell you as a man their preferences of your height and your body size, your body type, and your income level, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that's okay. That's being a strong, powerful woman. When a man says, "Hey, I want a woman who's this tall or around this height or this body fat and fit," and no, that's body shaming. And so there's no equality when it comes to accountability. And so we're seeing this kind of slippery slope of, well, this makes me feel good, and nobody's checking me. There's no man, none of my girlfriends or none of the ladies that I hang around with are checking me to say, I don't know if you want to go that far. I don't know if you want to go down. That's kind of a slippery slope, because what we do here as a Mad Men of Masculinity is talk about men's issues. For a lot of times, most of our audience is women who have gotten tired of listening to their girlfriends about men because they're not men. They don't know what they're talking about. So we're here to tell you that a lot of things that are going on now is driving men away from being a chivalrous gentleman and away from dating, because when we see those things, when we see a lot of ladies doing boss babe thing and having no accountability, we think, well, she might be a lot of fun and we can go party. She's not somebody to take home and keep, because she's not able to be accountable. She's not able to receive my chivalry and me being a masculine man. She's too stuck in her masculine, and so there's no polarity, and you need polarity for sexual attraction and for these relationships to work. So there's this imbalance on the female side, and I can't leave the guys off the hook either, because of nice guy syndrome and guys looking to women for their validation and just chasing after breadcrumbs and looking for any woman to give him any kind of attention, and not being a strong man who has his purpose and his value within himself. He's just adding to that problem, because he's just saying yes to whatever they say, not holding them accountable or checking them and saying, I don't like that. That's not for me.
If you are, again, I'm circling back to what I think is a huge and crucial point here. Like, from a lady's perspective, if you make it crystal clear that you don't need men, if you make it crystal clear that you don't need me in your life, you know what? I'm not even going to require you to make it clear. Fine, then do life without me, kind of thing. Again, lowercase n, not capital N. And that is even so much as, asking for something. I mean, being able to be open to whatever. It's your value. It's your important. Like, you deserve to be served. You deserve to be treated well. You deserve to have doors open if you have value. I mean, the Queen of England doesn't touch a door handle, not because she can't, but because she's the freaking queen, because she's royalty. And so, if you really see yourself as the queen of whatever it is, or even a princess, whatever, if you see yourself as royalty, you should allow yourself to be treated like royalty, and you should put yourself in circles of men, and there are a lot of us out here that will be willing to treat you like, that doesn't even mean we want something or we're trying to get something. But, if I'm walking in the door and there's really almost anybody, but definitely, a woman, even if we're like shoulder to shoulder, I'm going to beat her to the door and I'm going to open the door. And if she gives me attitude, I really don't care, because that's just who I am.
Yeah, we do a lot of times as men are chivalrous just for our own sake, because it makes us feel good. It makes us feel like men. It gets us in our masculine. Though, to Kirk's point, if you are a queen, if you are royalty, and you do know your value, the queen is the queen because she rules the country. She gives back to the country. She's leading the nation. So if you're getting into a relationship and you want to be treated like a queen, you also have to realize that you got to run that nation, either that house, or you got to treat him like a king. It's a two-way street. And I think one of the biggest things that killed chivalry was the fact that it's become a one-way street. It's all one-sided now, and men are not allowed to stand up for themselves. And if they have tried, which a lot of us have, and gotten shot down or been ridiculed or called names or told us if we stood up for ourselves and said and gave our true opinion and said, I don't like this or this isn't for me, then we're the patriarchy or toxic masculinity or yada yada, whatever the buzzwords are. And then we get a lot of the sign language where we're shamed and what is it again?
Insult, guilt, need to be right.
Shamed, insulted, guilted, or the need to be right. Like no matter what we say, we're wrong. And that's portrayed all through the media and through sitcoms and things like that. So men are portrayed as these bumbling idiots, and we see that in most of us guys. I mean, because a lot of what is portrayed is the 1% or the less than 10% of the hyper masculine, toxic masculine guys, and the rest of us 90% are like, really? That doesn't really reflect who I am. And to Kirk's point, 51 out of 100 men are good men looking for a good woman. We're not getting a lot of options because a lot of the narrative and a lot of what's been taught and has led you ladies down to this kind of anti-chivalry, toxic feminist mindset of no accountability and of not being able to say, okay, I get that. I can receive your chivalry and I can give back my loving feminine nature and be a supportive partner in this relationship. That's what's really killing chivalry, because we're not living from those the natural masculine, natural feminine anymore. We're both, as men and women, kind of in this gray area where we're not sure what we are.
And to your point of holding men accountable, when we do know our place, when we do know what we have to offer, which assumes that we have something to offer, but when we know we have some value, we won't settle for less either. And quite honestly, if there's a woman that doesn't see that value and doesn't appreciate that value and doesn't value that value, then she has a bad picker, and I'm gonna find somebody that has a good picker, and I'm gonna wait to find somebody that looks at me and says, "Wow, I need that in my life. Like I need that." That's like the amplifier. That's the multiplier that I need in my life, and so from a guy perspective, speaking to guys now, not necessarily for guys, but speaking to guys, when we get our poop in a group, then we're able to say, okay, I know my value, and if you don't see it, then this ain't even close to gonna work. And not only do you have to see it, but you have to let me know you see it. It has to be abundantly and crystal clear that you see the value, because I do provide the space. I do provide the safety. I do provide a great heart. Like I know when I walk into the room, I do provide purpose. I do provide something for us to achieve and to aspire to. And so from a man perspective, we have to own that. We have to say, wait a minute, man. I got to know me, and I got to know what I bring to the equation. And if I'm with somebody and if she doesn't wow on that, then okay. And even if that's whether that's chivalry or whatever, if she doesn't wow to that, then it just ain't right.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, I was actually where I was going to go with this next, is that if she doesn't wow to that, a lot of times what happens is a lot of the Chads and the Brads and the Tyrones have ruined a lot of women, and they don't have they're feeling insecure. And so they're latching on to a lot of the boss babe kind of stuff because that's the popular narrative. And there's so many ladies out there cheering, rah, rah, you go, girl. That if a man, a good guy, a gentleman, treats them with respect, is chivalrous, some part of them will self-sabotage that because deep down they're like, well, I don't feel like I deserve this. And so a lot of guys get burned that way because they're like, well, she's a beautiful woman. She's got all these different things. I see her value. Let me show her value. Give her this chivalry and be a gentleman. And then she is not used to that because she's so used to being treated like garbage by these Chads and Tyrones, the 10% guys who get every woman and just runs through them and doesn't care and is basically making a bad name for men as it is. Those ladies go, it takes a while. You have to spend time with them and show them that this is not just a fad. This is not just a move. They're just not like, well, this is my move. This is what I do to get you in the sack. No, this is who I am. And so getting through that, and ladies being aware that if you are resistant, like you want a good man, but then he's chivalrous and a gentleman and doing those things, and you're resistant to that, that's something to look at inside yourself. It's like, why are you resistant to that? Why are you resistant to being treated well and like a queen and being treated like you should be treated from a man who sees your value and wants to treat you that way?
Can you handle the truth?
Can you handle it?
Can you handle a guy showing up? Can you handle a man The man that you say you want, can you handle it if he shows up, or are you going to ruin it? That is $1 million question right there, because you can have all your dating profile with a description of this and that, and I want this and all this other kind of stuff, but if he shows up, will you see him? Will you recognize him, and will you value it? Will you hold on to that? Will you say, okay, this is the one I've been waiting for? Not like you too good to be true, or like you said, the whole self-sabotage or whatever it is. I mean, if you can't receive love, if you can't receive everything that you deserve and that you want, then don't even pursue it, because you're wasting time out here.
Yeah. And I've run into a lot of ladies who are the self-fulfilling prophecy ladies, where you meet them and they're great and they're wonderful and you're having a good time initially. And then at some point they start dropping these little seeds of, well, at some point I'm going to annoy you, or at some point I'm going to bring out the worst in you, or at some point I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And because that's been their experience, and so without realizing it, they create those things. And so basically, and we hear those horror stories where some girl's just so jealous and insecure that, and guys too, they're so jealous and insecure that they go, well, why are you out here so long, and where you been, and what are you doing, and who are you talking to, and all this stuff, until finally they drive that person away, or they basically create the situation where that person's just going to go somewhere else. And then they go, see, I was right. You were a dog the whole time. See, I was right. You were, whatever the whole time. So be aware if that's what you're doing, because we all do create and receive what we put out in the universe. So if you're just getting the same old thing, if you're just having the same experience, it's time to look within and go, well, do I want a high value man who is chivalrous, who is a gentleman, and I'm not receiving that? Why not?
How about a high value break?
I like those.
All right, Mad Men and Masculinity, Mad Men Radio 1220 AM KLDC, Mile High City. Will be right back. Boom.
Step away from the
Step
microphone.
away from it. I love the whole you can't.
You can't handle the
Who ordered the code red? I think Lisa ordered the code red on Chivalry.
I think we.
Lisa, did you do it?
We code-read her out of the building. She's not watching no more.
No, her comments are still popping up on Facebook, but they're not popping up on here no more.
Oh, did she go to the wrong page?
I don't know, but I'm seeing little notifications I'm getting on my screen that she's commenting on the Facebook over here, but it's not showing up here on the comments. So Lisa, I don't know if you're on the Mad Men page or if you jumped over to one of our pages or what. But the comments show up on the Mad Men page on Facebook or wherever you were at first. I don't think Lisa ordered the code red.
No?
I don't think. She used to be in the military, but I don't think she ordered the code red. She might have been. She's never been to Guantanamo Bay. She was in Hawaii. She was in the Coast Guard like me. She's a coastie.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a coastie. Anyhow, I don't think she ordered the code red.
What's the best way to respond to men who offer help, but it's something you already have handled? Give them something else to do.
Boom. Boom. Dig it in.
Yeah, I think she's gone. We've lost all our viewers. It's happened,
No
Kirk.
way. It hasn't happened.
It's
No way.
happened.
No way.
They've left us.
Hasn't happened. Are you ready?
Yes. And we're back. Mad Men of Masculinity on KLDC.
Baba, it's the bad men again. Baba, the men on my screen again. They
Blow your
talk about
nose.
that man stuff.
Blow your nose.
Baba,
Go wash your hands, blow your nose.
they back over there talking about the man stuff.
We're talking about the man stuff.
Mad men of
Talking about who killed the chivalry.
Who shot the sheriff?
Who shot the
Who shot the sheriff? Chivalry is a knighthood thing.
It is.
It's a knighthood thing, and
You got a sword.
dude, I got a 4-foot sword on my wall at
at
home, dude. I believe in it that much, man.
What
But
are you trying to overcompensate for with that big old sword?
hey, don't judge me, man. Don't judge me, dude. Don't you judge me, man, because hey, you know what I'm saying?
I can't judge you. I kind of want a sword.
I'm saying, dude,
kinda
don't
cool.
judge me, man.
You
I'm
were
doing my
bad.
thing.
You're
You know?
bad A with that
You
sword.
know what I'm saying? Shoot, that's a 4-foot Braveheart sword too. I just believe in it, man. I believe it. You
You
know,
get face for Halloween with that
I
sword.
might,
You ran
man.
around chasing the kids in the
wear
neighborhood.
wear a kilt. No, we can't do that, man. I need a pretty long kilt. Anyhow, so Mad Men of Masculinity. All right, man. So we're talking about chivalry, man. It is a knighthood thing, and I believe that a knight in shining armor is not a man that you want, ladies. Knight in shining armor means he's never been in a fight. But a knight with a few dents and some battle wounds and all that kind of stuff, he's been in the fight, and he's a good man. He's a survivor. I'm a survivor. See, all the way back to the Fem anthems, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just going. I mean, starting where we left off, even here in this last segment, man. I believe that culturally speaking, it became a negative thing or a sign of weakness for women to receive from a man because of, what is probably, when you look at it on a mass level, a minority subset of men that have done bad things,
Yes.
or men that have even done bad things in their past or whatever. But those men have kind of, set a tone for a lot of people. A lot of those women to just kind of set the femme anthems. That's what I blame, man. And I think, like I said, I don't think chivalry is necessarily dead. I think there's definitely been a code red on it.
Well, it can definitely be resuscitated, but like we said, there has to be a reception. There has to be somebody who's receiving and allowing. And if there's no open, honest reception of what a man is giving in a gentlemanly, chivalrous way, then there's nothing for us to do. And so we've been getting so much blowback and so much feedback and so much negativity when we attempt to do those things nowadays that a lot of men are just giving up on it. And to your point about, a lot of men, especially the ones that you probably want, ladies, have a checkered past. They have been through the ringer. They've made mistakes. They've done bad things. And to you guys, if you have had a checkered past and you have made mistakes and you've been out womanizing, or you've done, you've had alcohol problems or drug problems or whatever, but you have gone past those things, that's when you really become a high value man, because now you have something to give and something to be of service to. And as you get into your middle age like us, we become much more valuable because of our past experience, because of all the growing we have done. And there are a lot of ladies now who are really wanting a man in their middle age. And so if you are a good high value man and you want to be chivalrous and be a gentleman, take your time. Don't take the first, chick that falls out of the nest, but take your time and find somebody. And I guarantee you, she will appreciate if she is open to receiving your chivalry and your shining armor, gentlemanly, knightly nature.
And I would say it's an indication of a woman's ready or ability. If she can't receive your chivalry, she definitely doesn't want your masculinity or your leadership. She doesn't want you to be the man in the house or in the relationship or in the structure. She doesn't want you to create space and safety and security for us. To her me is greater than her we. Right, and so that's a great indication from a man's perspective. And ladies, it just be honest with it. Right, if you ain't ready for that, then guess what? Then it is what it is. Then you're gonna get a guy that's gonna walk through the door and let it slam in front of you, and that's the relationship you're destined to. But I tell you what, when guy shows up, that you've been listing on your dating profile. When he shows up even remotely, and obviously, nobody, very rarely is somebody going to be 100%. But at the same time, when guy shows up and he's like, okay, this could have potential, you better recognize it, and you better, I would highly advise you to make it clear that you acknowledge and you see the value in that, and that you make it clear that that is for you, and forget all the cultural, how you supposed to be as women and you weak and this and all this other kind of stuff. Because I tell you what, the quietest women on social media are the women that are happy and content in their relationships.
That's right. And to that point, men need where'd it go? What was that word? Not accountability. When appreciation?
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Where did my brain? Men need appreciation.
Yeah.
So, ladies, if you are one of those that have followed the feminist narrative and you're entitled and you think a man just needs to do all these things and you don't need to appreciate it, he's not going to stick around a while unless he's a whip dog and he doesn't care and he's got no spine anyway. The man you want, if you appreciate him and tell you appreciate him, he will do more of those things. So a hint and a trick and something for you to take away from this, if you're listening, ladies, is to be appreciative of the things that you appreciate. If he does something that you're like, wow, thank you for opening the door for me. Thank you for, picking the kids up. Thank you for, doing the groceries. Thank you for helping me mow the lawn or do this project. Thank him. Show him appreciation, and he will do more of those things. If you don't, he will slowly quit doing those things because you're not feeding him the appreciation he needs for his soul, which is akin to respect. And gentlemen, if she's not appreciating you, if she's demanding and giving nothing back in appreciation, not giving anything back in respect, that might not be your lady. That might be just a black hole that you're dumping all your masculine energy and stuff into, which we see a lot of that nowadays. And it just leads to disharmony and unhappiness on both sides. But to the conversation about men, there are a lot of ladies in their middle age now. And to you ladies, I've had this conversation 2 or 3 times in the last month. Look at your situation and be honest with yourself. You may not get the man who's going to come into your 2 or 3 kid household and move in and take over and be stepdad. You might. He might be the kind of guy who wants to do that. It may work out between you, but it may be time to look for a friends or lovers sort of kind of relationship so that you can handle your business as a mother and a single mom. He can handle his business, whatever he's got to do. You can still enjoy each other's company, but it has to be a very harmonious and collaborative energy and relationship for both of you, for him to come in and take that responsibility.
I think it's worth saying too. This is, I think it's worth dropping in here, especially here near at the end. That one of the reasons why men are also hesitant these days, quite honestly, and this is really no other way around this, is because we're afraid to be Me Too, right? A lot of men, definitely way more than 51 out of 100, will be hesitant to step in and to be a lot of the things that you might say you want as a woman or as women because, of the repercussions of being that guy. And nobody wants to be that guy. Worse than being canceled. Most men don't care about being canceled. You can cancel us all you want. But from a man perspective, I don't really have time to be the Me Too guy, right? So, that movement was beneficial in terms of, in terms of visibility and in terms of, especially all the really creepy men that was doing all these kinds of things. At the same time, understand that one of the fallouts from that is that from a guy perspective, we don't want to be that guy. So we would just as soon tiptoe around the little, back off, hands up, hands open, I come in peace and all that kind of stuff, as opposed to being the man that's going to step in and do those kinds of things. And a lot of that comes from that. But I think, in terms of us as men, we got to be willing to be the man. We got to be willing to be the man and let that be enough or not enough for somebody. If it's not enough, then cool, move on. There's a whole lot of great women out here. And if you're not their cup of tea, if you are their cup of tea, it's going to be sweet tea. Right, and just be all those kinds of things, and to step out and be the man in culture, society, and in relationships on a date or whatever it is.
And for you ladies, go back and watch our episode with Cleo Stiller, the author of Modern Manhood, and she talked about that, the effect of Me Too movement on men nowadays. And if you are a lady who wants a good man to be a gentleman, to be chivalrous, and to step in there, drop your hanky, turn your light on. There was always an initiation. Usually, even back in the Middle Ages when all the chivalry stuff started, she let him know, like she was like, I dropped my hanky, or I, let my hair down, or whatever the thing is, lets him know that, okay, I would like you to come over and be my knight. I would like, I give you permission, basically. And nowadays, with the aftermath of the Me Too movement going on, that needs to happen more and more. So take a little responsibility and drop your hanky or whatever that may be for you. Turn your light on. Let him know that you're open to him coming over and being a masculine man and being chivalrous and being a gentleman. Because a lot of guys have gotten burned over and over again by attempting to be chivalrous and attempting to be helpful and attempting to be the masculine man. And it just has blown up in their face.
I've had, to make it crystal clear, I've had people go off to me directly on social media about some of the conversations we had. We're absolutely not against Me Too. We're not anti-Me Too and all that kind of stuff. That's not what we're saying at all. Here, what we're saying is, as a result of that movement, of that era, men have become largely more hesitant to step in and be the more, I'm going to say, assertive man, because a lot of times that assertion can be easily twisted to be Me Too kind of guy. So that's what we're saying. We're not saying we're against, women's rights and anything like that. So that's not at all where we're going.
And to that point, a lot of ladies want that assertive man. However, they want that assertive man that they're attracted to. And so a lot of you ladies, if you're not attracted to the man, be nice, be gentle. You don't have to light him on fire just because you don't find him attractive because he was attempting to be assertive and step to you. Just say no, thank you. So many guys are getting burned so much nowadays that, you can only get burned so much before you're like, I'm done with this. I'm not approaching no more women. Then all the ladies are going, why aren't men more assertive today? Where did all the real men go? Why aren't they approaching me? Well, because they got burned a few times by mean women who were following the feminist narrative. So be nice. If he's not your cup of tea, just say, No, thank you. I like unsweet.
So JBK, what's our 30-second wrap up here, man? What do you think?
30-second wrap. I think Chivalry can be rebooted. It can be reborn. It's going to take some work on both sides. Ladies, turn the light on. Drop your hanky. Let us know that we can be a chivalrous, gentlemanly man, and then allow us to do that. And if you were stuck in your masculine, then maybe it's time to learn how to get back into your feminine and receive. Unless you want to be the masculine relationship, and then you got to find a feminine man who's ready to receive your masculine. What about you, sir?
Man, I think, from a guy perspective, man, you get your poop in a group and step in and be the man that you want to be, that you be the man that you're meant to be, that you're called to be. And like I said, if it ain't good enough for her, then move on, because there's a lot of great women out here that would love to have a man step in and be the masculine figure. And she's willing to be the feminine figure if that's the case. And so for men, again, man, let's be the man. Women, hey, you gotta decide what you want. Do you want to be, the feminine to receive the masculine, or do you want to be the? And some of that might be changing you, and some of that might be changing your expectations. But the mixed signals is kind of, there's a thin line between a guy that's really romantic and a stalker. And so you think about that for a minute. But the point is, we got to decide somewhat on the women's side. So good stuff, man. Good stuff. We are totally looking forward to hearing your feedback and talking to y'all next time.
Get on YouTube, get on Facebook, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family, and the buzz is going on, so we got to go.
Mad.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
That was pretty cool.